What's up, YouTube? It's your boy JB, and I'm here today with the review for Pose Season 2, Episode number 10, and it's titled In My Heels, and it's also the season finale. So, you guys, without further ado, we're just going to go ahead and just get into the episode because it was actually a really good episode. I hate that it's the season finale, but all good things do have to come to an end. So let's go ahead and just jump right into it. Okay, so the episode, it opens, we see Blanca. Blanca is at the house and she is, turned the house into a nail salon. And she's also coughing up a storm. And I'm like, I'm like, when I saw her coughing, I'm like, oh shit. This does not mean good news for Blanca because I'm thinking at this point, I'm like, her T cell has got to be low. For her to be hacking like that, I'm like, her T cell got to be low. So she, the AIDS has got to be full blown at this point. So the client leaves, and then we see Pray Tell there. Well, we hear him in the background, and she says, nobody without an appointment, and then it is Pray Tell. So we find out that this is May 1991, and this is 8 to 9 months after Damon's graduation. So she just asking Pray, how are things with him? Has Ricky moved in with him? He says, hell no, Ricky hasn't moved in with him. But he does have a key to the place, and then he does come and go. And again, like I said, Blanca, she's just, hacking up a storm. And Pray Tell asks her, like, when is the last time that you've been to the doctor? So then we see him, he takes her to the doctor, and Blanca, in the hospital bed, looks sickly at this point. I'm like, I'm just like, this does not look like it's going to be good news for Blanca. Like, this whole episode, I was just expecting for at some point in the episode for Blanca to die. So then, Blanca tells Pray Tell to go to her bag and pull out her notebook. So in the notebook, it's her will. So, she don't want any of the kids to fight over anything. And, she's just talking about what she leaves to him, I think she left some stuff to him. I think it was some books. She left her mom's cookbook to Damon. I think she left her jewelry to Angel, and her sofa, her furniture. Give that to somebody who could give that to people who could use it. And I forgot what she gave to Poppy. I meant to get that down, but at first she didn't give him anything. It was a dog that she was supposed to get, but she never got. So then we see Electra at the hospital, and she is, up there fussing about the fluorescent lighting in the hospital with Lulu and Angel. So, Angel is talking about how, it's been months since she's booked actually it's been weeks since she booked a gig. And, they're like, well, it's a recession right now. So, when things pick back up, you'll get some work. Don't worry about it. So then we see Pray Tell and Poppy show up. Poppy has food. Pray Tell has some flowers. And Electra takes the flowers, and like these cheap bodega flowers, they have insects. Insects has diseases, and Blanca doesn't need that. And Pray Tell says, Electra, shut your bougie ass up. So then, Pray Tell tells all of them, he's like, because he told her, I haven't seen you at the ball. Actually, matter of fact, I haven't saw any of you at the ball. And so, Electra tells them why she hasn't been to the ball. Because at the ball, they focus now heavily on the Bush Queens. And, they maybe have like 2 or 3 categories, whereas everything else is male dominated, even on the council. The council is a boys' town, and they have no representation within it. So then, Pray Tell's like, you know what? I'll talk to the council and I'll see what I can do. So then we do see Pray Tell, and he's talking to the council, and he's just telling them how the women feel judged. And Pray says that he wants to do something to be able to support them. My bad, y'all. He wants to do something to be able to support the women. So then one of the councilmen says, well, why not do drag? Why not we dress up in Butch Queen, but dress in drag? And Pray Tell was like, I don't really know about that, because he felt like that would be making light of their situation. He felt like it would be making light of what they're actually feeling and how, what they're going through, which I guess I could agree with that. But, it's also kind of like, I don't know if it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month when they do that, or no, it's not Breast Cancer Awareness. It is domestic violence, when they had Domestic Violence Month. They have men dress. They have men wear the heels in solidarity to the women who are abused. So I guess so. I understood where Pray Tell was coming from, but then I also got where the council was coming from just based off of that. Like I said, when it's that time when when they celebrate women who've been abused, they have the men wear heels, which I've done that once before. I did that when I was in college, and they told me what it was about, and I'm like, because at first I thought it was a joke. I'm like, so, is this real? Because they were like, because they came up to me in my college, and they said, would you like to support, the domestic violence, women against domestic violence? And I'm like, sure. How do I do it? And they said, you put on these heels and you just walk in them. I said, you want me to put on some heels and walk in some heels? They were like, yeah. And I came up with every reason not to do it. I'm like, I doubt y'all have a heel in the size that I wear. They were like, what size do you wear? And I told them, I think at this time I was, because my feet, and when I was in college, my feet were still growing. I was 17 and my feet were still growing. I was between an 11 and a half and a 12 in men's shoes. And I'm like, so do you have something in that size? And they said, we absolutely do. I said, wait a minute, you actually have something in a size 11 and a half to a 12? They said, yep. So I put the shoe on and I walked, it was hard. And these were like 6-inch heels. And I'm like, damn, these things hurt. And it was on like it was on gravel pavement. And I'm like, oh, wow. I was just like, how do women walk in heels? But it just gave me a little bit of respect for what women, when they go the extra mile to look good for men. It just made me be like, okay, I appreciate that. But so yeah, got off the subject, but I understood where Pray Tell was coming from, but I also understood where the council was coming from. Okay, so then we see Angel. So Angel goes to Miss Ford's office, and she goes into Miss Ford's office, and in there's already a client in there. So Miss Ford tells the receptionist or the assistant, whichever one he was, to take them somewhere. So they left her and Angel there. So Angel's like, Miss Ford, I haven't heard from you in a while. Like, so does anybody want to book me? So then Miss Ford tells her, that someone has already told her story. And I'm like, oh shit. So then we see that there's this guy who knew Angel from the ballroom. And then, she was doing her photo shoot, and you could see her looking at him because he was in a balcony. And I think he was maybe talking to the photographer or the person behind the campaign. And he was the one telling the person that she was a trans, which that upsets me, and it bothers me so much that she would out someone else. Like, that wasn't his place. That wasn't his, like, what did she do to him? Like, I get you might have liked her in the ballroom, but why would you go so far as to ruin that girl's career? Like, that was so fucking stupid. So then Miss Ford tells Angel that, like I said, word has spread, and nobody wants to work with Angel because they feel like they've been, fraud. It's been fraud. They ask for a girl, and then Miss Ford gives them Angel, who is not a quote unquote real girl, because she wasn't biologically born a woman, which I think that is bullshit. And Angel just breaks down crying, and I'm like, oh God. I knew it was gonna hurt Angel when it happened, but damn, I just, I thought it was gonna happen a few weeks ago with that photographer, that photographer that they beat up, but it didn't happen with him. It's just crazy that it's someone in the community that is at the ballroom that outed her. Like, again, that wasn't his place. Like, that's fucked up in so many ways. But so then we see Angel. She's telling Pop, because she's at home and she's drinking, and Pop is like, oh, you got happy hour started early. And then she says she tells him, well, I went and talked to Miss Ford. He's like, so she got some work for you? She says, no, she doesn't have any work for me because I've been outed by someone who's in the ballroom who's a fan, and he outed me. And again, like I said, that's just fucked up that he outed her like that. That just had nothing to do with him. And she tells him that she lost all her contracts. So Poppy, tells her, it's not over. That that she is meant for the world to see. And I love that he still empowered her, even though she was feeling down about herself. Like, I love the fact that Poppy still empowered her. So then we see Poppy. He goes back. This is another scene where he went to the house because Angel was at home. She was on the couch and she was sulking. So Poppy gives her hands her a box, and it's a box full of business cards, and it's his business cards about him being a manager. And this is once again he is trying to do good for her and other girls that are just like her. He's talking about the up and coming photographers and how he just wants to work with girls like her so that the thing that happened to her doesn't happen to anyone else. And so then we see Poppy, and he goes out and he's starting to recruit girls, but all the girls that he's trying to recruit, they actually shot him down. He talked to Electra. He talked to one of Electra's daughters. So then we see another scene where Poppy and Angel, they're at Miss Ford's office, and Miss Ford tells Poppy that he's basically living in a fantasy world. And the reason why she said he's living in a fantasy world because that world at that time in 1991 was still very prejudiced against the gays, the lesbians, the trans community. They were still very prejudiced. She gets that they want to make a change and they want to be the foster for change, but again, they're just living in a world where people are prejudiced against something they don't understand and they don't believe in. So Poppy's just telling Miss Ford what he wants to do, and how he wanted to name his agency Fidelity, but I mean for legal reasons he can't name it that because of Fidelity Bank. Where am I at? So Miss Ford tells him, okay, you know what? I'll give you a cubicle. I'll give you a phone. You have 2 weeks. You have to book a client. You have to book a client. And if you book a client, then we'll go from there. So where am I at? Actually, we'll say that for the ball. All right, so we see Blanca. She's still in the hospital. Now, Blanca's cough is gone, but Judy was checking her. Judy was had the stethoscope on her back, listening to her lungs. And you can listen to Blanca breathing. And when she was breathing, you could just hear her wheezing. I'm like, you still are sick, Blanca. All of that cough is gone. You still sick. So, she asked Judy, she's like, so, the chemicals from my salon, do you think that could have contributed to me having pneumonia? And Judy is like, well, it didn't help it at all. And then, Judy tells her that, so actually, Blanca asked her, how long do I have to live? She says, with this disease, with AIDS, we don't really know. But, she said, but your T cell count is very, very low. And what you'll need to do is you might need to retire. And Blanca's like, retire? But I'm only 30 years old. So then we see Pray Tell. So Pray Tell is in Blanca's room, and he has the newspaper open, and on the front cover of it, you see that Frederica has been arrested. I'm like, ha! Frederica has been arrested. So Frederica was arrested for arson, and arson that is in question is the one where she blew up Blanca's salon. So then we see Frederica talking to her lawyer. Her lawyer is telling her that, yeah, she's like, so when am I getting out of here on bail? He says, you're not. She's like, why? And I could have told her why. You're a flight risk. You have money. You have access to planes, yachts. I mean, you have access to any way to get out of the country. So you're a flight risk. She says, no, it's because I'm a woman. I'm like, no, it's because you're rich, not because you're a woman. So then in the process, she's like, you know what? She started to feel bad. She's feeling bad for Blanca because, she crushed her dreams. And also, Frederica's talking about it's because she's a woman. Her lawyer's like, no, it's because there was an eyewitness saw you walking away from the scene of the crime. I'm like, how dumb can you be? Like, I thought she might have sent her son to blow it up, but Frederica herself did it. Like, how stupid can you be to blow up your own shit and then try to do insurance fraud? Wow. So, Blanca's in the hospital bed, and Blanca, this time, she's looking a lot better than the last 2 times we saw her. So, Pray Tell tells her, you know what, you're getting ready, you're getting better just in time for the Mother's Day ball. And she's like, I'm not going to the Mother's Day ball. And he tells her, go. He has a big surprise for her. I'm like, what kind of surprise does he have for her? Did he ever show that surprise? All right, so next we saw Electra. So Electra is with the boys. She's with Pray Tell. She's with Ricky, Cubby, and Lamar, and the other 3 on the cancel. So you remember, they are doing this this ballroom, the Butch Queen with drag for the ball in solidarity to the women. So they all walking in the hills, and oh wow, every one of them was doing horrible, with the exception of Ricky, with them pink, shimmery heels. Ricky was getting it in them heels. Then Lamar does his thing, and then Cubby does his thing, and Electra's like, yeah, you did good, but you look very constipated. That was funny to me. So then Pray Tell goes down, and Electra is giving him critique, but he's not here for the critique. And he's you know what he's like, fuck it, I'm out. So then he leaves. So then Ricky chases in behind Pray Tell, and Ricky's like, it ain't because of the heels, like it's because you're afraid to be in touch with your feminine side. And Pray Tell's like, you're not trying to school me, are you? And he says no. He says I can just see that. He said, because when he started doing the Butch Queen in the ballroom, he was uncomfortable with it because he felt like it would take away from his masculinity. But when he got into it, it didn't. And he just sitting there, he just crossing his legs with them heels on the. I'm like, Ricky is feeling himself, but I can't blame him. So then Pray Tell tells him a story about his upbringing, how his dad always said they were making him too soft, and how his dad would first start out by slapping him, and then he would punch him and beat him up, basically trying to beat a man into him, which stupid. Like, you can't change who a person is. Like, no matter how much you want to, like with the shock therapy that they try to do to make people not gay, whatever, shock therapy, beating them, all the stupid asinine things that people do thinking that they can change a person, like, it's just so stupid. And Ricky tells him, what, I'm so sorry that happened to you, but you need to let it go. And I definitely 100% agree with him that he needed to let that go. So then back at the hospital, we see Blanca. So she's walking around the hospital with Judy, and we see Damon. He's back. And, she tells Damon that she's being discharged from the hospital later that afternoon. So then, she asked Damon, has he got tested? He said yes. He got tested back in Paris, and he tested negative. And then he also tells her that he's a house father and his kids don't listen to him. She says, kind of sounds familiar, doesn't it? So he also tells her that Malcolm, I forgot what his last name was. I did look him up and I saw his video on YouTube. He told her, Damon told Blanca that Malcolm wants him to choreograph his next video. And he tells her, I heard that you shut down the house. Like, why would you do that? He says, you are a mother through and through, and you need there are other kids out there that you need to mother to. Just because we're gone doesn't mean that your job ends. Which I thought that was sweet that he told her that. I really did. Even though Damon sometimes work on my nerves. All right, and then last thing in the episode was the Mother's Day Ball. So the Mother's Day Ball was just a good old time. Like they did two categories. One of Electra's kids won that category, and then Electra won another category. And then also by unanimous vote, she is Mother of the Year. So then we see Damon, he's willing Blanca to the ball. And then, Poppy, he goes up to Angel. He's telling Angel that he was able to book a gig. And she was like, for who? He's like, for you. She's like, so what kind of gig is it? He said it's a soda company over in Berlin. And, she's like, okay. So, and he was like, we leave tomorrow. She's like, but, what if we get there and they find out about me? He says, no need to worry. They already know about you. And they are okay with it. I'm like, wow. That was cool. I think that's so cool that people, that they knew about her. They didn't care that she wasn't born a woman, but she's still a woman. So then, Angel, she's just talking at this point about how she just does not want to be without Poppy. And she turns around and she grabs a rose and she gets down on her knees with the rose and she gets ready to ask him to marry him. She don't even get to finish saying, will you marry me? Before she can even get the words out, he says, hell yeah. She says, let me finish. And then he got down with her. He says, how about we say it on 3? 1, 2, 3. Will you marry me? And they both said yes. And I'm like, aw, that is so sweet. I love the relationship between Angel and Poppy. So then we see Ricky. Ricky goes up to Damon, and he's just talking to Damon about all the things that he's doing over there in Paris, wherever else he's been. And then Ricky tells Damon that he is going on tour with Paula Abdul. And Ricky also asks Damon, so how's your health? He says, I'm good. He says, I'm negative. He says, I got tested in Paris. And Ricky is just telling him, like, being with Praytel has made him grow up. Hell, he's even got him putting eye cream up under his eyes at night. So then we move on to the next category, which is Candy's Sweet Refrain. And in this category, this is going to be the first time that they give away a cash prize. So then Poppy goes up there where Praytel is, and I'm guessing he's telling him that Blanca's there, because then Praytel's like, oh, we got a special person here tonight, and it's our first contestant. And then they wheel Blanca out, and they have the flags with Evangelista, and I forgot what the other flag was. And she comes out lip syncing to Nippy, aka Whitney Houston's version of the Star Spangled Banner, and she did a fantastic job. So then lastly, we get the final category, which is the Butch Queens that are in drag. Oh, wow. Ricky was the first one to come out. I actually did not recognize Ricky at first, because that wig that Ricky had on was just ugly as hell. But Ricky did his thing. Wasn't the best, but he definitely did good. Then we had the Dream Girls come out, and it was the the other three that are on the council with Praytel. And then we also had Cubby and Lamar come out, and then Praytel came out as well. Praytel came out, and Praytel did fantastic. I thought he did an amazing job. And it was just good to see him in his confidence. Like, I just love seeing that about him. So the winner of that category was, who was it? It was Lamar. So that was it for the categories and the ball. So then outside of the ball, Angel and Poppy are giving Blanca the good news about her going to Berlin, them being engaged. They're going out for breakfast. And they ask her, she comes, she's like, nah, Praytel's back there getting his makeup off and, changing into some comfortable clothes, and he's gonna take me home. So she's still sitting in a wheelchair, and, not Blanca, but Angel and Poppy leave, and then she notices two kids, and she stops them, and she tells them to come here, and she asks them what's their names, and the boy says his name is Quincy, and I think the girl's name was Shelly? I can't remember. Angel and Blanca was like, does she speak for herself? And she tells you need to speak up for yourself. Like, don't be afraid to talk for yourself. Speak up for yourself. So she asked them where they stand at. They said on the piers, and they just been there for about a few weeks, because I think Quincy said he came from Denver. I don't remember where Shelly came from. She asked them, like, are you guys stealing? Then Praytel comes out. He's like, well, who are these people? And he says, I'm Quincy, and Shelly does say, I'm Shelly. And I'm like, there you go. You speak up for yourself, little mama. You got to speak up for yourself. And Blanca was 100% correct about that. So then they asked them, are you hungry? They said yes. They said, what do you want to eat? They said anything. And Praytel says, well, you got to be more specific about that. They said, how about a burger and fries? And that is where the episode pretty much ended, you guys. Season 2 was a good season. I have thoroughly enjoyed reviewing it. I'm so sad that it's going to be off until next summer. But like I said, I have so enjoyed reviewing the show. I'm so excited for season 3. I'm so excited for the Emmy Awards. That's what's right around the corner, is the Emmys. I'm so excited. I'm gonna be tuned into the Emmys to see if Billy Porter wins his Emmy, if Pose wins any. I hope they do. But you guys, until season 3 of Pose, I'm gonna see you guys later for Pose reviews. Bye.